Come over here. Wait, hold up, bro. Hold up. All right. Hold up. Look at him. He's all awake right now. Oh man. I joined Reddit so I can be right here with Dexter. It's like, hey Dexter, look at you. Like I don't feed you. What? What? Alright, this is the last one, okay? He wants those bone cookies. What? Oh shoot. He was gonna get me, got my nose. Okay, what? What? Come on, get up. I don't got anything, but get up. He's like, you ain't got nothing? I ain't gonna stay up here if you ain't got nothing. There you go. Give that nice little, give those little puppy eyes. Oh shit. Oh shit. Those puppy eyes. Look, Dexter. Oh. You ain't got shit. I'm out of here. Where you going, Dexter? Channel points. Alright, so we're gonna go over this game. I want to do this like maybe once a day, or maybe we'll see how we can do it. But pretty much, you know how I don't talk much in my games because I'm concentrating. I'm literally thinking on the fly what to do, what should I do, what should I do. So this is gonna help me kind of explain it to you guys like a walkthrough, and then I'll put it on YouTube and people can understand some more of what I'm thinking versus just my quietness, because I am pretty quiet because I'm concentrated. So let's let's go at it. What's up, Soul Steel? You're almost at 20 shit with cookies points. All right, let's go. We're gonna look at it from my perspective. I'll kind of walk through it. I mean, oh, Dexter. Oh, I gotta close the door. Hold on. Because he's got the door open. The door's gotta be open because he's barking.
What are you barking at, Dexter?
He's barking at the neighbors. Those dogs that are barking all the time. Yeah, I swear there's these like, okay, so my neighbor over here, they just moved in and they got 2 dogs, and oh my god, the little chihuahuas are like, they're constantly barking, so it instigates Dexter barking. So that's who he's barking. That's who he's barking. What up, caveman? Alright. So this is a PvZ. It's one of my favorite matchups. I think the reason why it's one of my favorite matchups is because it used to be one of my worst matchups back in Wings of Liberty. So I actually put a lot of focus on PvZ more than the other races. After I got really good at PvZ, I started focusing my attention to PvT. And so I kind of work on what I need most. So right here, I'm doing a pylon at the bottom. I don't really find it very beneficial to start a high ground pylon. So as PvZ, I always go for the bottom. What up, Hazardy? Was it Hazardly? Alright, we're making a forge and a gateway, and then we're sending our second probe over to the third, just to identify if there's a third base before a natural. Sometimes that happens. And then that probe right here is scouting around. So what we're just looking at is we're looking at the gas, we're looking at the pull timing. We already saw it's the hatch first, and then we're going to deny the gas. Now the reason why we denied the gas is because we're cannon rushing as an intro, and he's going to want to get 2 gases if you cannon rush, because he's going to want to try to rush you with a Nidus Worm or like a Roach Ravager rush. And because of that, we're denying some of his gas. Hey, what up, Armchair General? How you doing? Yeah, they normally cancel it, so that's why I have a probe at the bottom left, natural. If they cancel it, then they normally go over to the bottom and make a hatchery there, and that's where I cannon rush them. So right here, he is going to take that down because he's committing heavily with drones. And so I'm making a top contain. I did want to wall him out, but that drone, I couldn't kill him in time. Dalva, thank you so much for the sub. Yeah, this is yesterday's game. Just explaining it. Yeah, I was trying to put it on YouTube, but it was muted because of the music that I had. So, because it was muted, I didn't want to put in half a muted game, you know? So I figured I'd explain it a little bit better at the same time. So I'm making a cannon right now just to make sure, because the lings normally come out from the natural hatch. And so he normally has that hatchery now because he denied the bottom. So I'm going for a quick cybernetics core so I can get stalkers out from the main base of his side. So we're gonna have to get a cybernetics core. I'm gonna get a cybernetics core right now. I normally sandwich the cybernetics core between a cannon so that if there is a ling bust, it's harder to get that cannon. So I always try to sandwich it if I could. Try to get that queen, but I couldn't. So I'm taking out the hatchery any way I could, letting the zealots do some tricks. I noticed that 2 queens are at the bottom, so there shouldn't be a queen at the top. So then I went to the top side. You could definitely see more with the gas as well. He did really good right here. Make sure you keep attacking him because his micro is decent, so you know that the second round you got to make sure you micro again. So you kind of feel like, okay, you microed last time pretty good, you're gonna want to do the same thing. So I got that drone out so I can get in the choke, and now I'm just wasting his time, making sure he's not mining. I hold position. I go for the queen. That queen gets taken out. And now I go for the drones. I don't go for the queen because the queen could run around all day. So take out the hatchery and then move over to the top. That queen's not going to be able to get up there because it's a slow queen. So there goes the queen trying to get up the ramp. My zealots cover it. I come down here and start killing off any drones that I can. Now he goes for a surround and hold position, so you hold position right next to the drones, and that'll counter his hold position as well. Just make sure you're focus firing on every damaged unit. This is how you're countering his micro. Yeah, no, the expansion doesn't come up yet. The expansion doesn't need to come up yet. Your Stargate needs to come up first, if anything. But here, I'm going to go for Stalkers, just harass, because I'm going to go for a Stargate and an Expo. But I need a little bit of time first, because Roach Ravager is what he's going to want to do. So I'm just kind of keeping him contained for a little bit while I transition. So this is Stargate first before Nexus. You don't want to go Nexus first, because you want to make sure you got that void rate to deny this Roach Ravager if he breaks out. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the high ground as long as I can while I take that that expansion. But you got to remember, if a Zerg player is on one base, they're not as good as economy than a Protoss player on one base. So as long as you're on one base, he's on one base. It's kind of like you're on two bases. So you don't need to be greedy and try to get, you know, two bases too quick. You got to know where you're at in the economy versus him. You gotta know, okay, I'm actually in a good position. Just don't overdo it. You know, just know where you're at.
Base is under attack.
So I'm getting my Nexus right here, and I'm going my Void Rays. My Void Ray is going to be able to hold off any kind of Road Ravager rush if he does break that cannon contain. Right here, I'm trying to get out. So there's a couple ways you could do it. You can have a probe in front right there, and then you can make a pylon right there and get out. Watch. I could hold position right there, let the other one go in. Now I gotta make a pylon and then a cannon. I mean, I need to put a pylon right there, now a pylon right there, and then I can get out. So it depends on which opening I need to do to get out. Sometimes it's just a pylon, sometimes it's a pylon and a probe, sometimes it's a pylon and a probe. So it varies. But you're able to get out quicker. So what I did is I'm getting that probe out so I can go take a third at the bottom left. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm getting Void Raids. Having Void Raids gives you map control. You can take a third and still deny you can still have a safe third because you have Void Raids, but he's going to be worried about your Void Raids, but he's going to get spores. Him getting spores and queens for Void Raids, you're still forcing out stuff out of him other than drones. So that's why you take a third and out macro him. That's what counters the I'm just gonna sit in my base with hydras in each base and spores so you don't attack them with oracles. That's where that third base kind of comes into play.
Mineral field depleted.
My gases are very important to me. I always go for the gases before I go for the minerals in my natural. And that's because I need to make sure that I have enough gas for my oracles. I always have abundance of minerals. It's not the minerals that I want more than anything, it's the gas. The gas is what I always starve. And so that's why I'm always focused on gas heavy plays. Alright, so right here I'm just checking a third, right? Just making sure he's not on 3 bases. If he is on a third base, then I gotta try to deny it. If I can't deny it, at least I know he's going on 3 bases. Right here I'm like, okay, he's on 2 bases. Like, what is he doing? So I come over here just to kill his gases, but he doesn't have gases up yet. He doesn't have drones. He's on 1 base. We're gonna harass a little bit. It's not meant to do much, but we're just gonna harass right now. We're just making him not look around to the corner bases, making him, you know, be a little more defensive. We're pretty much just keeping him occupied while we really take a third.
Dimensional strings attuned.
Now we are getting queens, so I'm getting oracles. Oracles counter queens. The Void Raids don't counter queens, that's why they make queens. So you go Void Raids, they go queens and hydras. You go oracles, you counter queens and hydras. That's the basic part of this process. So right here, I knew he was going to come and make a creep tumor, so I acted like I left, came back, killed the creep tumor. Because he wants that third right there, so he wants to creep up that spot. I know he's going to want to have to do another creep tumor, but that's more energy that he has to use. You want to make sure you waste their energy as much as you can, deny the creep as much as you can. You work the body, you know, pretty much. As you know, whenever I go around the map, around the Zerg, I always go around the creep. I always follow the creep pattern and just understand how fast the creep is spreading by always going around it. When I go in front of it, it's because I know I want him to see me. So right now I'm just hiding my Void Raids, go around. This right here is a Spire Scout. You want to make sure at this point that there's no Spire. You want to look for the Hydralisk Den. You got to figure out which one he's doing. So this is what we're doing. We're kind of just going around, just sacrificing. We see the layer text, so there is a possible for mutas. And there's also still a possibility for Hydras, but we're not sure what it is. We're going to check the base. Okay, he's taking a third base. So 3 base. He's going on a very late 3 base. He has potential for popping up a Spire or a Hydra's Den. So we have enough Oracles right now to start pressuring. So what we're doing right here is now we're letting the Void Raid be annoying, where the Queens go over here, and then the Voiders, I'm just luring. I'm like, hey, come over here, while my Oracles go and go to his natural. We do see a hatchery, so I'm like, okay, hatchery. We know that he's trying to go for 4 bases.
Dimensional strings attuned.
Hold position. If you hold position, that kind of just makes sure you kill everything in the drone line. You don't want drone Queens pushing your Oracles over to that spore. You don't want any of that. So always hold position in those areas. All right, we're gonna take out his hatchery. We don't need to take out the main. We want to make sure we take the fresh bases out. Make it harder for the fresh base to get mined. So we're dealing with Swarm Host. A really good way to deal with Swarm Host is Stasis Wards. If you pop Stasis Wards, they're really good at denying the Swarm Host. You notice how I'm making Stargates at the high ground? We're still making emergency Stargates in case he tries to locust those, but those locusts are going to get frozen and they're going to get timed out because the Stasis Ward is longer than the cooldown of a Broodling. So he's going to try to take out my Nexus. Oracles are really good at killing those. So we're playing energy for energy, right? Spellcaster to spellcaster.
Oracle. Dimensional strings attuned. Oracle
Now,
perceiving.
I'm switching over to ground. The reason why you switch over to ground is because they're going to want to get into Vipers, they're going to want to get into Infestors, and you want to make sure you deny that kind of composition. So Infestors, Vipers, Hydras, you want to switch to ground, and you want them to just kind of think that you're going Oracle play for a while. You want to surprise them.
Dimensional strings attuned.
Now, being that you're going to face
Perceiving.
Vipers, you're gonna face Infestors. There's something that I do that I'll show you of how I kind of help myself from dealing with those particular units sometimes. Right here, don't use too many. Just make sure. I was gonna wait for them to pop out, but yeah, he didn't pop out. Alright, Oracle's going to the main base. Now, whenever I go to the main base, the reason why I'm going to the main base is to just chop his tech tree. Now, this is actually a fast one. No matter how many spores he has and queens, you can come in, snipe the hatchery, and go on with your way. You don't lose that much, but you kill a lot of stuff that he thinks he was going to be able to guard. So, that's the power of Oracles. So, a lot of people go, oh, you know what, I'll just make spores and queens around my base. No, it doesn't always work that way. You can come in and snipe it as well sometimes. It's like, all I need to get in there, snipe it, and get out.
Dimensional strings attuned.
Mineral field depleted.
Alright, so now I'm going carriers. The carriers are just because I have, multiple bases. I can actually go for those heavy, expensive units. And I don't plan to just go straight air. I'm planning to go for a ground. So carriers are just going to be a support unit, not an all-in unit.
Attack. Mineral field depleted.
Alright, so I'm going to use these stalkers right now to kill the creep. I don't have observers, so I do have revelation though. Now that we're in a position where he's not going to want to contest my army right now, we're pushing on his creep. And that's going to allow us to see what he's trying to do, what units he's trying to get.
I'm here in the shadows.
Gonna make some more carriers.
Research complete.
We're slowing down that creep. Alright, we gotta take out some more creep. We see that that's a little bit that's less defended, so we're gonna let the Void Raid take care of the creep.
Mineral field.
Make sure there's no other, you know, because they definitely don't like this right here when you're taking out their creep. You're pretty much instigating a fight. There goes the Hydras. That's what we want to see. We want to see Hydras.
Your probes are under attack.
Let our enemy know our fury.
Alright, so we scanned the Hydras, so we know where the Hydras are at. Or at least we see where the Hydras are at. They're moving around the third. They're a little blob movement because of that creep tumor that's stasis or revelated.
Carrier has arrived.
Alright, so here we go. So our oracles now are going to go take out the layer tech. Now that we kind of whittled down the outside perimeters, we're going to go, now that we have enough energy and enough oracles, we're going to go in and take out the layer.
I'm here in the shadows.
Now here, there's spores, it doesn't matter. We'll take out the spire first. Want to make sure that there's no more mutas, no corruptors. Now the reason why is because we're going carriers. We don't want corruptors for carriers. So we're going to deny that for sure. We revelate the Hydras, and that's because we want to make sure if they leave, we can go back in. See, they're going back down to the natural, so now I can go back in and go take some stuff out. Now I take out the pool first. I'll explain why in a bit. So right here, now that I took out a pool, I'm going to take out the layer tech. The reason why I'm taking out the layer tech is because in order to make a layer tech, you need a pool first. So if you take out the pool, then the layer tech, then he can't make a layer at his other bases. But if you take out the layer tech before the pool, he's going to be like, oh shoot, I got to make a layer before he killed my pool dies. And then they'll make a layer tech before the pool dies. So if you kill the pool first, then he's screwed. He's back at, can't get 3/3 upgrades or 2/2 upgrades. He can't get, if I kill his tech, he can't get any units for a while. He's going to have to do what he has. Alright, so
Mineral field depleted.
there goes the Hydras. They're a little upset. We expect a little bit of retaliation. So I decide, okay, we're going to leave this be. We're going to let the Hydras take care of this, but I'm going to go deny some other base. So we're going to be sacrificing. We're both going to be sacrificing something. Alright, he didn't take the bait. So he's going over, he saw the oracles, he says, nah, I got to go over here to deny whatever he wants to take out. So this is where I could take out his tech. He doesn't have a layer tech yet, so that's going to be hard to get any more Hydralis Den. It's going to be hard to get a Baling Nest. Actually, yeah, I left the Baling Nest on that one. The Infestor's Pit and the Hydralis Den were the two main ones that I took out, which are very important for Zerg in late game.
I'm here.
So now he's got to work on just regaining all those tech structures. Alright, we got carriers, we got storms, we're going to go in and push. We do know that there's a lot of Hydras and they're upgraded. I don't upgrade. So we're going to be very cautious.
Mineral field depleted.
Took out that hatchery. Oracles are going to go to the main. We're going to, and there he is, he's on 2 places. We're storming. Make sure that we don't lose our carriers. The interceptors can die pretty quickly. So now that we're pulling back, it's because our oracles are inside his base. So now that our oracles inside his base, we're pulling back and stalling.
The enemy has discovered us.
Alright, now we're in position to take out that hatchery. We're only going to use up whatever interceptors we're going to have, then we're going to pull our interceptors back, our carriers back. We do not want our carriers to die. This is just, you know, you could lose this whole base and you're okay. You just don't want to lose your units. Losing your units is not good. It's not part of the plan. You can lose this base though, that's fine. Because you got to think of the future game. You're better off than he is. You're taking this late game. You just need time to keep building and getting your composition. He's trying to like survive, so he's just trying to kill anything that he can. He's just doing what he has to do. It's up to you to make smart plays and don't just lose your army and be like, no, I'm gonna lose my base, I'm gonna lose, so you lose all your units for it. No. Alright, now we're going to the next transition, which is the Colossus. So we're continuing the Hydras. He's going to be very confident continuing with Hydras because of losing all that tech. And he hasn't had the economy to keep, to just make so much gas-heavy units. So we're going to go Colossus and counter the Hydras.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy. Vespine Geyser exhausted.
Give yourself some distance where you can actually, you know, back off. Don't run into the spores too much. You don't want them to kill all your spores. You hit the S button. If you hit the S button, that actually produces your interceptors to go back home to the carriers. That's very important. You don't want to lose as many interceptors as you should. So you hit the S button and they retrieve back to that. As long as you're moving. If you're moving and you hit the S button, they will go back home.
Your probes are under attack.
Alright, we're making a couple more oracles because oracles are really good at coming in and out sniping bases. They're a really good tool. So we're going to go with our oracles again. And this is where we're transitioning over to Colossus. So we're just stalling right now for Colossus switch. You always got to work the body. You got to make sure he's on his side of the map. And since you're always harassing him from the beginning of the game to the end, he's going to have to be defensive. He's going to have to respect your harass. See, if we hold position right there, we don't lose as much. We can go in and out. Oracles are very fast, so the Hydras don't quickly catch up to them. You do really good damage. We're going to go back over here just to see if he's there. Oh, there goes the Hydras. Okay. No hatch.
The enemy has discovered us.
Alright, we're going to send our army back home just to kind of protect it because we're expanding right now. We're going to have to defend that. Just looking around. We want to spot the Hydras and revelate them. Every time we look in there, we're trying to revelate the army. We got to make sure we know the size. We got to know where he's at. Now that I revelated him, I can see him moving around. So as long as I stay away from that site, I'm good. Hold position right here is very important. If you hold a position at a good distance, you can actually kill every drone that comes near you because you're not fully in range of the spore. If you can't have range, if you're not in range of killing the spore, then you're gonna hit everything but the spore, which means all the drones that are nearby. So you get next to it, you know your distance, you hold position. Even though the drones are mining, thinking the spores are gonna drag the oracles, they'll lose their drones. Yeah, that's Dexter. Yeah, you'll notice that I use my resources different. I know I have a bank, but with that bank I know what to do with it based on what I see. So I don't just make units and just hope for the best. I look for the army's comp and figure out how to counter that comp and make that unit, make those compositions. I don't just quickly just spend my money recklessly. I mean, it's good in some way, but that's not how I like to play. I like to play strategically.
Depleted.
Taking out some drones here. We don't need as many oracles now. We're kind of just using the oracles as much as we can. We're getting ready to attack.
Mineral field.
Now, I do know that there's going to be a lot of Hydras. They're going to want to come straight for me, so I'm going to make sentries now. Sentries are going to just keep the containment from getting near. I don't see any roaches, no Ravagers, so nothing to break the force fields. Yeah, we normally don't go warp gate.
Base is under attack.
Alright, now this is an army that he can't contest. Revelation. He can't hide. Alright, see how I revelate him? I know where he's at. He can't hide from me. I know what he's doing. He's trying to surround me. So you just gotta make sure you cover your ground. Make sure that if he comes from the top, you force field. See how I'm looking up? Like, okay, are you gonna be coming from there? Where are you coming from? The sentries are on point right now. They're just like waiting. Like, where do you guys... I'm killing the vision on that part a little bit. And then there goes the full-on surround. Colossus are just gonna wreck those Hydras. GG. Hopefully you guys like that that cast.